Hello again. The news that Alison Rose, the chief executive at NatWest, has resigned will hardly have come as a surprise to many people. The aftermath of her resignation, though, is fascinating. She's currently trending on Twitter, and everybody is talking about her resignation and the circumstances which led up to it. I remarked the other day that who we condemn and who we applaud seems to depend these days less on their actions and more on the political leanings of those involved. In the usual way of things, if we heard that a bank manager had been chatting at a dinner party and revealed details about the financial affairs of somebody with an account at the bank, we would find this a shocking breach of confidentiality and a betrayal of trust. This would be the case no matter whose account was being discussed. It is simply not on. Of course, in today's world, nobody cares anymore about such basic principles, and the politics of the parties concerned, their views on Brexit and immigration and so on, are all that interests us. They're all that matters. In the description to this video, I give a link to a typical tweet on the subject. Dame Alison Rose, the chief executive of NatWest Bank, is trending on Twitter, an unenviable position to be in, considering the circumstances. Listen to this tweet, and it's fairly typical of many thousands of others on the subject. I give a link in the description to this video. The far right has now bullied a successful female CEO out of her job. They'll come for anybody identified as woke by Farage and his minions now. A shameful episode exemplifying the corruption and hate of this vile Tory government. As I say, there are many similar tweets from left-wing people. What the far right has to do with the case escapes me. Notice too the fact that the head of NatWest, the fact that she's a woman is referred to, which of course also has nothing at all to do with the case. Whether the Tory government is corrupt and hateful is also irrelevant. This is quite magnificent, really. Instead of asking ourselves if banks should maintain the confidentiality of their clients, which is the only question worth asking, the whole business descends into political rhetoric. All this is so typical of modern Britain. Whether or not I should expect my bank manager to chat at the dinner table about how much money I have in my current account is not a matter of politics at all. Nor does the sex of the bank manager have anything to do with it. I let my bank look after my money and use it for whatever they wish, and in return they keep it safe for me and let me have it back when I ask. As long as they've no reason to think that I'm laundering money through my account, that really is all there is to it. I trust them to keep quiet about my financial affairs, and they trust me not to write cheques unless I have sufficient funds to cover those cheques. Why it would matter to the bank whether I vote Conservative or Labour really doesn't enter into the equation at all. The other day I mentioned that whether one condemned Hugh Edwards at the BBC or Dan Wootton at GB News seemed also to have nothing to do with the photographs being sent over the internet and everything to do with the way which people vote. The idea of objective truth and right and wrong has simply vanished. Precisely the same thing is now being seen in the case of Nigel Farage and his bank account. Those on the right of the political spectrum are up in arms about the treatment which Nigel Farage has received from his bank, and those to the left are fiercely defending the bank's actions. Neither side appears to be interested in the ethical aspects of the thing. That is to say, whether people have done anything wrong or which party is actually in the right. It is, as the tweet I read out earlier shows clearly, all reduced to talk of the far right and the corrupt Labour Tory government. I find it a marvellous sight to behold when left-wingers are stoutly defending the head of a bank who earns over £5 million a year and suggests that she's a victim of sexism and a far-right witch hunt. This is most amusing because in the usual way of things they would be savaging a banker like this. In the same way, it is vastly entertaining to watch the right wing being furious about a bank which caters only for the very well-to-do and accusing it of being a hotbed of left-wing ideology. We really do live in very interesting times.